How's it going, ScrubGamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and here we go with the last discussion video closing off the Zenkai Series discussions. So we've already been over all the different decks in the set that you get from red, blue, green, yellow, and even the last one being black. And now what I thought would be a great idea to do is close off with a tier list, a place where I think they place. If they're like best deck in set, strongest meta, like a strong meta deck, a rogue meta potential deck, a casual local deck, or just a trash deck. And also note this is my opinion, not fact. It's just my view on the set, and it might be a little bit biased, maybe a tiny little bias on colors and stuff, but I try to be as fair as possible. But before doing it in the video, I do want to give some shout outs to, first off, DBS Deck Planet for being the best and only deck builder in the game, with great features like important to untap and printing your list off, while being a database that is for the players by the players, with a great and dedicated team behind them. And also for Duke's Gaming for sponsoring the webcam locals. If you have any TCG needs and are in the UK, head over to them to get them fulfilled. And also, if you are a fan of this and you do like the channel, feel free to like this video, comment down below your thoughts to get a bit of discussion going. It has been coming on with a few of the old videos from this series. And also, if you're not subscribed, feel free to subscribe to keep you updated with my videos as when they drop. Also, by clicking the notification bell, gives you alerts when they do, and it also helps me get to my goal of 1,000 subs, which I'm getting close to halfway there. But without further ado, let's get in the video and rank these decks. So before we get to the actual decks that are in the set, I did forget about the starter decks one, because I haven't played much or taken really any notice of them, but I have noticed them enough to know where I feel like I'm going to put them in here. So we'll go by color order with both the sets in the deck and the starter decks. We'll start with Pan. Now, Pan is one that a lot of people wanted rebooted. A lot of people were requesting this to be rebooted, and they finally did, and they did in the brand new series, which is pretty nice. And it comes with a lot, like, it's not changed too much. Like, his awakening is probably the biggest change of it, like how it can awaken, how it awakens, but the rest of it is pretty similar to the old one. It's just now easy to awaken, which is the problem. Like, trying to awaken it without like having to rely on outside sources was an issue, but it still feels the same outside of that. It doesn't feel too much like too much difference on it, but it is still looking to be a pretty decent deck, not massively strong like some other red decks have. So that is why I'm going to place it in the casual local level, because it doesn't do much more or anything different to ever red decks. It just drops out bodies and gives them power. Doesn't do anything stronger than any red decks we've currently got in the format I will be getting. And what is good, it doesn't feel amazing like some other decks. So I'm going to put it in B tier. And then with the next one, we have blues. We have the blue trunks. So this one, along with Gotenks, were, I feel, odd options to reboot because they aren't actually that old. But at least out of the two, with Gotenks, this one at least makes sense because Bandai did screw over, more the support for it and how this deck worked, so it didn't run as it should do because of the whole ruling and stuff, which I'm not going to get into, but anybody dedicated to the deck and enjoying it will understand what that was. And now it's come back with a new, just as easy way to awaken and stuff on the elite. Like, you can awaken very easily, flip over, gain some advantage, and it's overall pretty solid leader. And the support with it as well is just a whole thing of ramping. Still has good options and even stronger options now, even in its own Z battle card. It gets in the starter. So I feel it's quite good, but once again, I don't feel it does anything better. Like, it doesn't ramp better or as well as other ramp decks. It doesn't do really, like, it's not aggressive as mid-range, and it doesn't do much better, like anything better really, than some other mid-range deck. Like, stuff you can put in here and it's very strong, you can put in other decks and it would do better. So that's why I'm going to put it in also in the B tier casual local level. Now we get into the green one, Gotenks. Now Gotenks is one that also was an odd option to reboot because we didn't long get it. Like it hasn't been too long since we've had it. Like it's newer compared to some like the yellow and red ones that have really needed a reboot and have been requested at least highly. So it was odd to get it, but it does work well with some of the old stuff as well, and it just has a new focus on rather than needing a unison to awaken quicker and have like a little bit of a union focus as well with the union fusion. This one's more now just focused on just union fusioning, so just getting your Gotenks out and making use of that, and even awakening is evolved around that as well. That's why I feel it has a little bit of an edge, and having a Z leader means it has like the Z leader is actually quite nice to be on the closed games and put on a little bit more pressure. So I feel like the deck has been upgraded to be a little bit stronger, and it still has all the great green options. So I'm going to put this one in the A tier, being a potential good rogue and meta potential pick, because not a lot of people see green decks coming or green decks in general, because most of the time people just judge green as a hand control or not as strong, so they just shrug it off. But I feel this could be a good one because it still does put a lot of pressure in, but it's not too amazing, but I thought it was amazing to sneak in a little bit. And then that leaves us with the last one being the yellow one, being the Star Deck Goku based off the, I can't remember if it's set 3 or 4, might be set 3, that we have the Goku reboot from the Goku 8. But this is one that's been around for, well, the Ever Leader's been out for ages. And I didn't see much love for it because it's one of those odd ones, like those niche ones you don't really see much, never really saw too much. But it had a whole theme about bringing out Bulma and like little Bulma cards, and now it comes in with a very strong archetype. Most of it having barrier as well, like its leader being absurd, being able to rest all your opponent's cards outside of their energy, which is really strong. And just like tapping down your opponent's blockers and swing, and being easy trigger things like Poutine and Bergamo is very strong. And plus, being yellow, has all those yellow great defensive tools. So I feel this one is going to go straight up into a strong meta deck tier deck because it can just do a lot of good things, along with the fact it's got all the yellow good generic stuff. That is what makes yellow so good, just having generic good cards. So that is where I would leave the star decks, with the yellow one being a strong meta deck pick. So you can just pick 2 of those, chuck in a few other yellow staples, and you're good to go for the meta if you want to compete competitively. The green one, I feel like you can put 2 of those together and a few other good green cards, and you can have a solid like a strong deck that you can potentially take to an event and do well, and also potentially dominate your locals. And also, as well as that, we have Pan and Trunks being the ones that I feel playing casually would be pretty decent, or at a local level could be strong. So that is the star decks out of the way. So let's get on with the ones actually in the deck, and we'll start off as we did with the color order. This time we'll start off with the goods. Like most decks have a good side and bad side, so we'll go with the good side of red first, starting off with the SS4 Gogeta deck, which is more just an SS4 Saiyan deck, because it's SS4 Goku and Vegeta together. They just go into the Gogeta as a Z leader, and that's straight up being chucked into S tier because it's such a strong meta deck pick. Because it's got all these great tools, like it's got the Goku that can give it a beam when you're 4 or less life by just comboing it, which is amazing to make your leader at 20k to make it harder to swing. It's got great synergy, like being able to draw quite a lot on his awakened leader and very easily awakening. Like the pseudo rival cards, having such ability, like good red text as well, fantastic unison, its own Z leader that's huge in power, and also a boogeyman that people are so scared of. Just there's so many posts being made about on the groups, and in being the SS4 Gogeta 8 drop. So I think just all that combined is definitely an S tier, strong meta deck. And then the next red deck is going straight alongside of it, and that is the Red Sin. This is also going to be a very strong meta deck because once again it's in red, and red's getting a ton of good tools that are generic and fantastic. And as well as that, you can gain a lot of advantage because it doesn't need to attack to gain advantage, it just needs to switch itself to rest. So turn 1 you can gain a +2 every turn and awaken quickly as possible. And then you've got some big threats just recurrent, like you can be very aggressive with this deck and just have some very good effects. Like you've got the 1-drops that help you get the balls in your Z energy quicker, so you can awaken as soon as possible. Like leaders, awaken slide is just generic, which is swinging the draw. But it works well with essentially like negging your stuff to get effects, like overt nitron, get extra attacks in and gain effects, and then a big triple strike deflate 8-drop Omega Shenron to just put pressure on, and you're even able to give that barrier as well, or crit with the Haze and Oceanus in it. And plus being with red, it's got the token gate, everything's, and it's even got a Z leader that doesn't require energy to Z awaken, and it can be makes it a very good deck that can go in any direction. If you want to go aggro, mid-range control, you name it, you can go this route with this. So the red decks instantly both are strong meta decks. That's what I think most people have already considered for it. And then we go into blue. So out of the two, we're going to start with the Goku, and I feel this could be I thought it could be a good A tier deck potentially. Like, it does have a heavy reliance around the Angel Halo, which is one thing I don't really like about it. Like, it's so heavy, you have to find that Kai to be able to, like, it doesn't do much on the Awaken side. It's just ditch 3 of your themed cards to draw 3. That's it. If you don't have 3 or you don't have enough, and because you need to find the that 1-drop Kai, then you're not really doing something on your Awaken side. You want to Awaken as soon as possible to get the full advantage and just have a good time. And just a heavy reliance just makes it not as great in my eyes, but still potentially good, because if you do get it, because we've also got a TP to help you guarantee that, so you can run like a suit 8 copies of it, and then you've got all this really nice stuff of like easy cards to play, very strong battle cards as well, and like extra common power to charge his EG really quickly, because blue and red are both colours that have very good C card and options. And then alongside him, I'll probably put in the same tier, is the Piccolo deck. Now I put this here because I've been having a lot of fun with this, playing it, and I feel this is something different in blue, which I like, because most of the time what I've seen in blue from people playing it or like trying it out is blue is more of a very long game color, either if it's mid-range or like very late game. That's what most people play it as. Most decks are in blue, and Piccolo gives something a little bit different because it's quite aggressive and has a very strong turn 3 play. And as well as that, it has great searching with its like unawakened effect. The fact it can just search for any 1-drop blue card is fantastic, and you can gain a lot of advantage from that way. And blue has some very good unisons that goes alongside of it, and some very good blue 1-drops to help and search off it. So I feel that this could maybe crop in, like peek into some top cuts and stuff, and I'm very excited to try it out and hopefully see other people top with it as well. So now that gets us to green. So I'll probably put, because we start off with the Roshi, like it has an interesting, like I do like that it has a turn 5 clap with like it's got a very easy way, multiple different ways to variously drop out enough for Cell Zeno. But now, since Zeno is more useful turn 5, it's going to be harder to get to that point, especially in green, but it can do it. I will put this as a B tier casual local level deck, because while it is pretty decent, it is very gimmicky, like a little bit too gimmicky, so I don't think it's going to do much in the meta. And there are actually already quite a good amount of good green decks. It's just green is kind of like a bit too costly for compared to the other colours, and Roshi it struggles from that because it doesn't really have any extra use of energy unless you wanted to put multicolour and beaning, which depending on how you build it could go well, but just generically on its own is a bit too gimmicky, I feel, to be a rogue or meta potential. And then King Piccolo, I'm going to put that alongside of it as well, because while it is pretty strong, it can go wide, it's very it can drop out a lot of things quite free and play quite a good game. The only thing it struggles with is that on his awakened side, there's only 8 targets you can really play off it that are decent from the new set, because the old ones aren't the greatest. And as well as that, it struggles with the fact that while you can protect yourself from being coded by effects on the awakened side, red's going to be and looks to be the most dominant, and that's going to have a lot of negging to like not really worry about it. Just you build a board, it just tears it down. And it's going to struggle with that because it does have some good green generic cards like the package stuff, like the unison package, things like that. But it's going to have a hard time trying to keep up and keep its board that it plays out to maintain it and keep it there. So I feel that's why I'm going to put it as a casual beta. It's still a strong deck, and if it comes to a less red heavy meta, or the meta's not as red heavy, I feel this could come in to actually pop into the rogue meta, or even, yeah, rogue meta. I don't think it's going to be a strong meta deck, but it could become into the rogue and meta potential tier. So now that leaves us to yellow. Normally yellow has quite a good amount of decks, and we got some interesting ones, because the ones for yellow are, we got the superhero movie deck for this set is in yellow this time, with the Piccolo focusing on the Gohan, Pan, and Piccolo stuff for the movie. If you haven't seen it, you should have seen it by now, really. And it does look an interesting one. It's got a bit too much discard for my liking, but there has like potential in using that discard to your own advantage, and that's why I'm going to put the Piccolo deck in the A tier. I think it has potential because it is in yellow. It's got all that, just the same as the Star Deck Goku has, with all the generic good yellow stuff to help support it that it has generically, and as well as that, it's got not too bad of a archetype in it. Like there are some very, very strong cards in it, and as long as you build it and play it correctly, I think someone can do really, really well for it. So I think the A tier is a good slot for it. And that leaves Bardock. This is a deck is a leader that's been reprinted multiple times, but its little archetype are being revolved around his crew. This is the third try, because the first proper try they had was with blue, and yeah, that didn't go so well. They even tried supporting it a little bit over time, and it got some nice support, but still it didn't help out the issues the deck had. And then they tried reprinting it again, going for red, and while that was quite interesting, they still didn't patch up any issues that we had from the last one, and people then soon came to realize that it did have some really good cards, but they were better used in other decks, like the King Vegeta deck, for example. So, and then this is the third iteration now, going in yellow instead, so they might try every single color with this archetype, but I don't think there's any archetype that's gone through all colors yet. And it has some good stuff, but it doesn't feel like it has enough. It still feels like it falls short a little bit. It's got some great cards, but they're just not good enough. Like they're just like one skill or one small effect away from actually being good, being great. But Bandai just still treat this archetype as a joke. So for that reason, I'm going to just drop it in the C tier, the complete trash deck. So I don't think it's going to do anything really. Like, someone could prove me wrong. Like, I remember Raditz was a trash deck, but someone actually managed to top with it, and it's been played a little bit more recently. But Bardock, no, I don't see it. Like, it can have all the good yellow support, but it's still not going to do very well, I don't think. And then this leaves us with the black deck. In this set, we only get one black deck, and while we all hoped we would get a Vegito deck, and Bandai trolled us, laughing at us, giving us just Vegito in the secret rare slot and not an actual deck, because now I'm leaving a lot of people scratching their heads thinking, why did they ban the 6-drop Gogeta if there wasn't going to be anything you can re-abuse it with in the next set or future sets? What we might see. But we got given the Shroom and Salsa technically reboot with a new version of it, Shroom and Salsa, and it comes with a Z leader and an interesting archetype. And I feel this one is actually pretty good. Like, as long as you know how to sequence well, as proven with other decks like Blue Bojack, where it's actually done well thanks to big annotation, proving that if you sequence well and learn the deck, you can do quite well with it. And I feel this is a deck that can do the same, because it's quite sequence heavy when you get to Awaken side, because if you combo too much, you can end up losing cards permanently for the game, because the permanent on the Awaken side means if a card would go from your combo area to your drop, it's removed from the game instead, so you've got to be very careful how you combo with the deck. There are effects that can bypass that, or ways you can, but you've got to put that effort into it. And because of that, I feel like it's in the A tier, where it could be a nice road deck, because it is black. It's got some nice cards because we're focusing more on the Demon Realm race and Demon God stuff now for black, rather than the Black Saiyans like they did for the first chunk of the Unison Warrior stuff. And I feel it looks like a good deck. It's got some really good cards in the set, some good support outside of just black generic stuff and from the previous sets. And I feel if someone puts in enough work, if anybody puts in enough work and learning the deck the inside out and playtesting enough of it, someone will end up doing quite well on topping with it. I do feel that. And then that's going to leave us with the list. So we've got 3 decks that I feel are going to be strong meta decks as soon as the set comes out this week / next week. and that is the starter deck Goku and both red decks in the set. And then there's 5 decks that I feel from this first set of the series that could be strong road or meta potential picks, and that is the starter deck Goten, both blue decks, the superhero Piccolo, and the black Truma Salsa. And then some interesting decks and fun decks you can use for your locals or just casually. I feel like are the Pan starter, Trunk starter, and both green decks with King Piccolo potentially becoming a good meta rogue pick, depending on if it's a meta that isn't like mostly dominated by red, which I feel the next one will be. And then the only complete trash C-tier deck I feel from this set will be Bardock. But remember, these are just my thoughts, my opinions. They're not fact. You could disagree, and if you do have any different opinions, drop them down in the comments below to let me know. And then we're going to pick what I feel is going to be the best deck in the set, including the starters as well, for the first series, and that is going to straight up go to SS4 Gogeta, just because the deck itself is going to be warping other decks where people are going to have to think, can their deck deal with this? Because it's such a strong deck. It's got so much going for it. It's got like a great secret in the set. It's got a great boss card. It's got great tech in its archetypes. Like any part of the deck you look at is fantastic. And as well as that, it's going to be a deck that's going to scare people, because the boss monster is already scaring people in the fact of what it can do and what its skills do and how it's not affected by mostly anything. And because of that, people are going to be scared of this, thinking, can this deck compete? And that's a good question, because you will have to think about that, because when it comes to the meta, you really got to think about, can your deck deal with the current meta decks, and meta meaning most effective tactics available, and Gogeta, SS4 Gogeta is definitely one of those. So it's going to warp the meta in what decks can be viable, having to deal with this, because you're going to have to expect this to come up in the any big event. Any big event is going to have people playing this and playing it either well, badly, depending on how they play it. I've seen people playing it really badly on the tap, but then it is early days. But I feel give it to someone in the right hands who knows how to play it, and it'd be almost unbeatable. Almost is the word there. And that is it. So if you have any thoughts or differing opinions, do feel free to put in the comments. It'd be nice to discuss and see whatever people think. But this is my list. Do you agree with it? Do you dislike it? Do you hate it? Well, comment down below. And if you do like this, feel free to like the video as well. And also, once again, if you're not subscribed, feel free to subscribe. You get more detailed discussions from me like this. Like I'm trying to do a bit more discussion videos along with deck lists. And once the set drops, I'll be doing more deck lists as I try out more decks in the locals, and there are quite a few decks from this set and the starters that I want to try out. So that has been all from me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.